Why aren't you Catholic, or what concerns do you have with the Catholic faith?
I heard on the radio that homosexuals are not allowed to be priests now. I don't know if that's true, but that was my impression. I wanted to talk to you about that because I read River of Fire, which impressed me with how they value priests. So I'm wondering why they don't allow homosexuals.
Sure. Now, this is something that came to us, I believe, back in 2005 for the Congregation for Catholic Education. This is dealing with seminaries and admitting people both to seminary and then the holy orders. The document is called Instruction Concerning the Criteria for the Discernment of Vocations with regard to persons with homosexual tendencies in view of their admission to the seminary and to holy orders. So what it says here, it makes a distinction between different kinds of tendencies that a person may have. So these are the paragraphs, two paragraphs that I think summarize it well, and then I can elaborate it a bit more. Well, there's three, actually. I'll just read through it, and then we can go into it in detail. Okay, it says, in the light of this teaching, to go back to the paragraph, the Catechism, paragraph 2357, says that people with same-sex attraction, it constitutes a trial for them. They should be accepted with respect and sensitivity. Unjust discrimination should be avoided. But it says, in light of such teaching, this dicastery, in accord with the Congregation for Divine Worship and Discipline of the Sacraments, believe it necessary to state clearly that the Church, while profoundly respecting the persons in question, cannot admit to the seminary or to holy orders those who practice homosexuality, 1, present deep-seated homosexual tendencies, 2, or support the so-called gay culture, 3. So it's not just a blanket statement on if somebody has same-sex attractions, they are incapable of being a priest. The document lays out three different kinds of people, and I think most people would agree with the first and the latter. Those who practice homosexuality, in the sense of those who regularly engage in same-sex acts, would not be in conformity with the Church's teachings, as well as those who support so-called gay culture, or that this is it's a moral good, that it's not intrinsically disordered. The middle section would be those who have deep-seated homosexual tendencies. The third paragraph here, before I go up to the second, it says, different, however, would be the case in which one were dealing with tendencies, homosexual tendencies that were only the expression of a transitory problem. For example, that of an adolescence not yet superseded. So that whether it's transitory is different than whether it's a deep-seated attraction. It says, such persons, in fact, so those are the persons. So what is the reason why? It says, such persons, in fact, find themselves in a situation that gravely hinders them from relating correctly to men and women. One must in no way overlook the negative consequences that can derive from the ordination of persons with deep-seated homosexual tendencies. So let me bring this up here. So Robert, that's the people involved. The reasoning is that priests must be able to, in a healthy way, relate to their congregations and to carry out the functions of the priesthood. This includes intimate settings with men and women. It's similar to how the Church says that those who are alcoholics would not be good candidates for the priesthood due to, the blood of Christ being under the form of wine. They need to have a healthy psychological makeup. The second, so that's a part of it, and that gets into the issue of same-sex attractions, that our culture doesn't really accept that they're intrinsically disordered, that there's nothing wrong or unhealthy about that. But the Church would see that as a problematic element in a person's psychological makeup. The second reason would be pragmatic, that I think even someone who's not sympathetic to the first reason could be more sympathetic to the second reason. And that would be this, that if you expect a priest to uphold the Church's teachings, especially on chastity, you don't want to put him in the near occasion of sin. But it's ideal, for example, in many cases, for priests to live in community with one another. But I would say it would be a near occasion of sin to live in community with people to whom you may be strongly sexually attracted to. It's the same reason why if I were to travel and give talks, if the local Catholic sorority asked me to stay there overnight to offer me lodging, I would politely decline that because my wife would, of course, you would never hear from me again if I were to agree to that. And of course, being a good husband, I would not place myself in that position where I am tempted towards something that's not a good situation for me to be in. So that is the document and the reasons. What do you think of that as a start?
Well, I have the answer to my question. It's just that, of course, it does exclude some people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
sure.
These people who are excluded could offer something to that calling.
Sure. But what I would say, though, is that even if someone, Robert, even if someone if God does not call someone to the priesthood, even if someone is not called to that particular way of serving the church, they are still capable of serving the kingdom and serving the body of Christ in many ways. So I think that it's important that we have to balance what are the risks involved with admitting someone to the priesthood, to this particular vocation, and versus a benefit they may provide. You're right, but there's lots of other people. There are people who might struggle with alcohol that could still be wonderful preachers and homilists and pastoral caregivers, but it presents just a high amount of risk. There are others who, even convents, for example, don't accept people as nuns if they have outstanding debt that has not been paid off, even though they may be wonderful contributions to that religious life. So I think that we have to look at it as not whether the priesthood serves this particular candidate, but how is this candidate, whatever attractions they may have, whatever crosses they bear, whatever crosses a person has, what is the best place for them to serve the body of Christ? And even if it's not the priesthood, there could still be very many other places where they are able to do that. And because God is all loving and all good, he can bring that about for anyone, I believe. So thank you for calling, Robert. I really appreciate it. I want to still get a few more calls in before the end of our time here on the show. And I hope that you'll call back if you have other questions and you continue listening to Sacred Heart Radio.